The Drive-Thru is our monthly news episode and is sponsored in part by organizations like HPDEJunkie.com, CollectorCarGuide.net, Project Motoring, Garage Style Magazine, the Exotic Car Marketplace, and many others. If you are interested in becoming a sponsor of the Drive-Thru, look no further than www.motoringpodcast.net. Click About and then Advertising. Thank you again to everyone that supports the Motoring Podcast Network, Grand Touring Motorsports, our podcast Break Fix, and all the other services we provide.
Well, I've got to turn off this stupid. Yes, I acknowledge that I'm being recorded. That is the whole point, Zoom. All right, we ready?
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun. Welcome to Drive-Thru episode number 47. Wow, 47 of these things. This is our monthly recap where we put together a menu of automotive, motorsport, and random car-adjacent news. Let's pull up to window number 1 for some automotive news. Yeah, I was looking at the notes. I actually like what we're doing here with the car stuff, but what can you do with $50,000?
That's right. Well, we're coming off a slew of what should I buy, so I figured, you know what? I know how much you guys love it when I start doing math. We remember how that drive-through went down, but I was like, you know what? I've been called out more than once about this mythical $50,000. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a little bit of homework.
$50,000 does not go as far as it used to.
No, it does not. No, it does not.
Okay.
Well, before we jump into our showcase, our what can you buy showcase for the month, we got a little bit of Cybertruck update for you, Brad. I know you are really, really regretting not buying this truck.
This is something you cannot buy for our mythical dollar amount that we're going to talk about later. But what's going on with the Cybertruck that I don't have?
Oh, Tanya, do you want to go there?
I don't even know what the problem is.
What do you mean you don't know what the problem is? There's always a problem with the Cybertruck.
Well, there's so many. Which one are we talking about?
Right now, we're talking about the windshield wipers detaching from the truck because even they think the truck is so ugly, they don't want to be associated with it.
11,000 Cybertrucks have been recalled due to trim and wiper issues.
How does that work? They've only sold like 5,000 of them.
No. It's the trim. That's old news. Like those pieces were coming off the back end already for a while.
Well, now they're acknowledging the fact that there's a problem with the Cybertruck that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, so they're doing a formal recall.
Right.
Okay, I got it.
Right. You know, we've talked about this before. How do they fix things? Which aisle in Home Depot are they going to get the fix for this particular recall? And I was thinking, do they glue the wiper back on? Do they rivet it
That's not
on?
the issue. The trim piece is what's falling off. So they most certainly will glue the trim piece back on or rivet it like they did the pedal piece.
No, they're going to use nye ties.
Oh,
They're going to nye tie it to the wiper, and it's not coming off after that.
realistically, that thing is 67 feet long. Can you imagine walking into Advance Auto or AutoZone? You're like, I need a wiper blade for a Cybertruck. Where did they keep this 6-foot long Bosch Edge wiper blade?
They don't. You probably have to special order it and then it takes like 6 months or something. But the problem with the windshield wiper is not the wiper itself, is the motor, where the motor controller may just stop functioning due to electrical overstress to the gate driver component. So the wiper blade is so big and the motor is too small. That's what I just heard.
You would have to imagine that an electric car company would be able to figure out how to get enough juice
No,
to power a 6,000 foot windshield wiper.
nah. We're still working on that.
But yet the truck has enough power to pull a 911 and race against the 911 while pulling a 911, but it can't move its wiper arm.
We were going to put laser beams
Yes.
as wipers instead, and yet we can't manage a technology that's been around for how many decades?
100 years, like literally.
I bet they had the technology for the laser beams, but the NHTSA was probably like, nah, dog, that's not for me, dog. Not happening.
LASIK sales were going to be infringed upon.
That's perfect. You buy a Cybertruck and you can give yourself LASIK.
That's awesome. But, you know, as I dug into this article from electric.co, you know, which is a bit of a tech website, but they bring up EVs quite a bit, sort of baffled by the picture that they had. And as I looked into it a little bit more, apparently the picture that they used in the article has nothing to do with the wiper blade, which is what was puzzling to me. It has everything to do with a Russian Cybertruck smuggling ring.
Is that the
Nice.
two trucks in front of a tractor trailer?
Right. And I'm like, wait, what? So I want to know where that story is. Or is it some sort of weird like SEO to get Google to find their site because they're putting the appropriate words together in the picture data or whatever. So I was like, this is really weird. So I couldn't find any evidence of this particular thing as I was digging into that, but I was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. But that's okay because there's another thing with the Cybertruck that was brought up on, of all places, Reddit.
You read it here, folks.
Yeah, right. So we're talking a majority of the systems on the Cybertruck are electric. Well, the steering is too. And apparently it has input delay. And somebody took a video of just how slow it is to react to a driver's input. The caption reads, imagine dying in a car accident because of input delay.
I don't know. It's imperceptible from this video, and they're not moving, which there's a difference.
I mean, anybody who's driven a car without power steering knows that it's much easier to turn the wheel when the vehicle is moving than when the vehicle is stationary. Granted, this shouldn't be happening, but I've never tested this with any other drive-by-wire car. I would like to think that it doesn't happen.
Who's turning the steering wheel like that?
It's an evasive maneuver! Evasive maneuver!
Not the way he's doing it. You're gonna roll that.
Woo! Woo!
Exactly. And that's what I was thinking too. I was like, if you're turning that hard at speed, you are basically going to instigate a rollover situation. You shouldn't be turning that much that quickly.
Still, I mean, to their point, it's obviously exaggerated. Maybe there is something to the input delay.
I don't know, that's a Tesla problem or a technology problem either.
Right.
Doesn't Lexus have one of the cars that has the drive-by-wire as well? I can't remember now. There was something about theirs too. I think it was still better than this, but maybe not even perfect either.
Isn't that how they do the self-parking system as well, where everything is controlled by the computer and it's turning the wheels and all that? So it has to be like drive-by-wire in that way?
There are a lot of cars out there that are drive-by-wire. I believe my R32 is drive-by-wire.
Only on the throttle, nothing else.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. We are talking about the steering here. That's right. Okay, yeah.
Now, what's scary is the cars that are brake-by-wire, where there's no relation between the pedal and what's happening at the calipers. That, to me, is scary.
That's why you need that brain input that Elon Musk is trying to sell. That way you can just, all you got to do is think about braking and it's going to happen.
Oh, okay.
No need for a foot.
That explains why the wiper blade stuff is buried in the menu system. You're just supposed to be like Spock and mind meld with the Cybertruck, and then the wiper starts working.
My thoughts to your thoughts. My thoughts to your mind.
I take it that's a Star Trek reference.
Yeah, what gave it away?
I've never driven a car with this feature to it, but what would be more concerning is the numbness. Does it have force feedback?
Is that a Thrustmaster? Did they put the wrong Thrustmaster in there? Is that
No,
what
so you
happened?
think about it, how numb that steering wheel must be if it's not connected to anything.
They got to upgrade to that Fanatec.
Where's your sensation? Legitimately, where's the force feedback?
Oh my god.
Well, don't they have the ball tickler? There's the sensation.
My Mark 6 Volkswagen had electric assist, but it was still obviously all mechanical. So that you really couldn't tell the difference so much versus like a hydraulic assisted car from the old days. But yeah, a totally drive-by-wire system like this. I've only driven a couple Model 3s and I just thought they felt numb in general. But then again, I'm looking at it with a different lens than your standard daily driver commuter person. So I would want it to react a little differently. I've been in a Tesla on track. What I walked away from was that they feel heavy because they are heavy. That's a whole nother discussion. All this drive-by-wire, fly-by-wire stuff, what's wrong with a cable? What's wrong with a brake pedal that pushes liquid? I don't know. All this extra complication for things that are just going to break.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Yeah, right. So we'll put a pin in that for now because there's always more Tesla and Cybertruck shenanigans happening. So let's get into our showcase here. So we mentioned at the beginning, we're coming off of some What Should I Buy? So it's been in my head for a while that I've been roasted a couple times. I keep saying that every new car is $50,000 and you guys keep telling me, no, that's not true. You can buy something that you would like for less than 50 grand. And I'm like, okay, so you know what? I put pen to paper and I started doing research and clicking around and doing the build my own kind of stuff. But it also dawned on me, I can't just go try and buy what I want or what I would choose as my next daily driver. Because I was spending a lot of time behind the windshield since the last drive-through, I started looking at the cars that are on the road. I'm reading badges, trying to look at packages that people bought because I want to see what's kind of the general populace into. And I can assume that they're SUVs. Nobody's buying cars anymore, not really. And vans, I mean, whatever. That's a whole different ball game of rarity. So what I did is I kind of pared down my shopping criteria and I said mid-size SUVs, which are larger than the mid-size SUVs of 10 years ago. So I also had to kind of open my aperture there a little bit as well. So I said not a CUV, and it's got to be a base model with all-wheel drive and hybrid if it's available. And the only other thing that I know that I would want, that my wife would want, that most people buy is like the weather package, right? We want the monster mats and we want the cargo liner. Whether we're millennials or zennials or Gen Xers or whatever the hell generation we're considered now, I have no clue. I went with millennial gray. And there's a good reason for picking that too. So I'm going to go through all this.
Who are we buying for, Eric or somebody else?
When I looked at this and I did the research, I'm like, what would somebody in the middle of Ohio buy? So I said, all right, let me go down to my local virtual car dealership. And the first one on the list was Honda.
Sorry, I heard Honda and my eyes glazed over. So
Apparently your ears did too.
paying $50,000 for a Honda seems outrageous.
Midsize SUV, what did I choose? CRV Sport Hybrid, MSRP $34,350. Options that I needed to add to meet my shopping criteria, all-wheel drive. And did you know that gray paint, out of all the cars I'm going to talk about, including this Honda, you pay extra to get gray, whether it's gray or silver or pewter or some sort of combination, right? And then you add the all-season protection package. Everybody's got a kind of different name for it. Brand new CRV Sport Hybrid, 38,048 before taxes, tags, and all the other fun stuff. And I said, okay, that's cool. All right. My next part of this adventure was, as I got like to the third or fourth car, I'm like, but wait a minute. Because everybody keeps telling me because chips and there's no cars and da-da-da-da-da. So I said, search inventory for any matches to what I wanted to buy.
But a lot of dealers don't stock base models.
Right.
They'll have one or two to get you to come in the door, but then they upsell you to all this other stuff. As well, here's the inventory that we actually have for only $100 more a month on your monthly payment.
And again, I'm not asking for a whole lot. The base package with all-wheel drive in gray with an all-season package, which is, again, just mats and a cargo liner. Nationwide inventory of that CRV, 6 cars. 6. So that meant if I were to roll down to the local Honda dealership, they wouldn't have what I wanted, especially not at $38,000. I could get stuck with something else. And you know that people are doing that they're just like, man, I don't have time to wait. I'm just going to buy what's here. I don't really care. I just need a car, whatever it is. Maybe you could pay the base price of $34,000. Or you could end up paying way more than $38,000 by the time it's all said and done.
Sometimes I want a base model because we had the discussion last time. If you want to soup it up or put modifications and stuff on it, you don't need to buy what the dealer is trying to sell or what the manufacturer put together because you're just going to mess with it anyway.
Not to be outdone, I'm going to look at slightly larger cars in the Honda fleet. So I looked at the Pilot. Starts at $39,900. And then we've talked about the new Prologue, and here we are getting that much closer to that mythical $50,000. The Prologue starts at $47,400. So what can you buy for $50,000 from Honda? Any of those 3 cars that I mentioned, but taxes, tags, fees, and any other options are going to inch you closer to that magical $50,000 number.
Am I trying to buy at 50,000 or under 50,000?
No, you guys told me that there are tons of other cars out there for less than $50,000. And
I'm on the build list. And if you just starting MSRPs, the HRV is 25, the CRV is 30, the CRV hybrid's 35, the Pilot's 40. The Passport's 42, the Prologue SUV is 47, the Civic sedan is 24, the Accord, which looks the same as a Civic sedan, is 28.
Nobody buys those. They're cars. Nobody buys cars. That's the whole point. They buy SUVs.
Every single thing on Honda's page, they have 26 cars available, all under 50 grand.
Starts under, but to Eric's point, once you add options, because he had specific option criteria, it took the price up. His next point was search available dealer inventory. They only had 6 nationwide of his particular criteria. Next up, you'd have to get into a different vehicle. I mean, yeah, you went and looked at base models. So when you put it in those terms, yes, manufacturers technically are offering these cars, but I see where you're going, where people aren't actually buying cars that are in that price range. So I understand what you're doing now.
I wanted to be fair because I've been accused too, and I know that I'll do this because it's a lot harder to add all the whiz bang cool fun stuff later. So I'm always like, man, buy the biggest, baddest one there is because you won't regret not having it later when you have all the options. But I wanted to be real because people don't shop like that. And I've been told that's not how people shop. So I said, fine, I'll go to the other side of the pendulum swing and I'll start with a base model in all the categories of what I considered domestic cars. People are probably scratching their heads going, Honda. Well, a lot of those Hondas are built here in the United States. Toyota, the same thing.
Eric, let's do an experiment. Can we find out what is the number one best-selling vehicle in the country right now?
What's the Ford F-150? We already know that.
I thought it wasn't. I thought they got beat out.
Well, okay. Well, that's a good place to start. Ford F-150. Surprise, surprise. Once you get past the F-150 and the Silverado, the third on the list is the RAV4.
Yeah.
You were spot on looking at the RAV4. And then after that, the RAV4 comes the Ram and then the CRV. So that's what people are buying. And then we can go in and price a Ford F-150, and that'll tell us if that's the number one selling car.
I don't think you could buy one for under 50 grand, can you?
Well, there you go. Then to Eric's point, people are not paying less than $50,000 for a car because if you look at the statistics of what the number one selling vehicle in the country is right now, and if it's not less than $50,000.
Oh, no, I just assumed started already at 50. They actually don't.
No, F-150s start in the 30s, and then usually trucks have really big rebates. I know whenever I was looking, you could get at least $8,000 to $10,000 in rebates at any given moment when purchasing a truck. A simplified version of this is, what are the top 5 number one best-selling cars in the country right now?
So I was trying to discount the outliers because there are plenty of Corollas and other stuff on the road, and there are plenty of F-150s, a majority of trucks, whether it's F-150s or Silverados or Dodge Rams or whatever, because there's a high concentration of that. But let's just say your average normal person, what are they buying today? They're buying a
base
CRV.
model.
No, they're buying a CRV. They're buying a RAV4. They're buying an Equinox. They're buying a Ford Edge. So I started looking at those, and what do they have in common? Midsize SUV with all-wheel drive, because everybody's got this fantasy that we have to have all-wheel drive now too. So nobody buys the front-wheel drive base models. And what the dealerships have done is they've gotten smart, and all-wheel drive is an add-on. But if you look for a base vanilla front-wheel drive SUV, there's like zero, right? There were barely any base all-wheel drives out there when I was looking.
You can buy a RAV4 all-wheel drive for under 30 base.
Nobody's buying those. They're buying hybrids. So you have to add the hybrid. 32,000 is the starting price.
So the hybrid was one of Eric's criteria.
Yes,
I
it
will
has
say
to be
that.
hybrid now.
You have to fit into his sandbox.
Okay. What's the point of the...
The point is,
Keep the car you have because it's not worth going to buy a new one unless it died.
there you go. You hit the nail on the head. Exactly.
So that's always the answer to the argument. It's always cheaper to keep her.
You know, there are a good percentage of CRVs and RAV4s and Ford Edges and things like that on the road. But when you start really looking at maybe what people are driving in certain geographical areas, let's say in the DMV versus the middle of Arkansas, it's going to be different. You know what I mean? Because the cost of living is different and there's a certain like level of status. When we go down the Beltway here, all we see is Audis and BMWs and Cayennes, and the major part of the cars on the road in a high populous area, especially in a much more affluent area, are going to be more expensive. So when I go down the road, I feel like a cheap bastard because I'm in an old car. At the time, it was expensive, but compared to what people are rolling around in now, I'm driving a base model when I had the top of the line model 10 years ago. And it's just like what they're paying is mind boggling. That's the whole thing. And so when I went and looked at this cross section, it's the usual suspects: the CRV, the RAV4, the Edge, blah, 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 blah. But as I dug a little bit deeper and I started looking at like Stellantis, I couldn't even find anything to buy. Chrysler's got one vehicle, they got the Pacifica. Dodge like has nothing at the moment. And then Jeep just 86'd a bunch of their stuff. So you're left with the Jeep Cherokee, which is the only thing I could make as a comparison. And even there, you're coming in at $40,000 optioned out the way I did it. All-wheel drive, gray paint, all-season weather package, all that kind of stuff. But there were none available. You couldn't get a base model Cherokee. Everything was a Trailhawk, which then jumps the price up. So then what's the price of a Grand Cherokee? And they tout on their website $36,500. But if I add the hybrid and all this other stuff, I was suddenly at $61,000. And Jeeps sell like crazy. We know that. I didn't even want to look at the price of Wranglers because we talked about this before. They've gone through the roof. So then I said, all right, I'm going to go back to my old stomping grounds, as much as it pains me to do this because I saw the commercial, like literally the day I was doing the research, the summer of savings, but they spelled it SAVWING. I was like, this is such a terrible commercial. So I was like, all right, you got my attention because I'm doing the homework anyway. I wasn't even going to look. There's nothing. So to meet my criteria, all you can buy is an ID4 standard. That's the base. It starts at $40,000. And as soon as I started selecting anything, it didn't matter what it was. You just like, okay, ID4 standard. I don't understand what was going on with the configurator. $41,000. Like it was like a $2,000 jump immediately. And I don't even know what the hell was going on. The other thing is the ID4 is rear wheel drive. And I'm like, what? There's no all season package. I could get it in gray. And then if you wanted the all wheel drive, you had to opt for the ID4 Pro, which then moved me basically right to $50,000. I'm like, $50,000 for a VW? That's not going to happen. I drew a line at $35,000 for a Volkswagen. 50,000? I'm not giving them 50 grand. But then if you look at the used car market, it's still just as crazy. So what do you buy for under 50 grand? You buy these mid-size SUVs if you can find them with very, very minimal creature comfort add-on things that you might want, because some of the packages that come with these vehicles are super cool, but you're jumping 5 grand every time you want to add something. You know, you want this stereo package or you want this thing or this other. It's nuts. It's shenanigans.
It's collusion.
100%. So what did I learn? I learned that some configurators are better than others. They're also very different, and some are extremely awful. I had some problems with a bunch of them, compatibility with browsers, stuff like that. I also realized that the whole Burger King, you can have it your way thing, that ain't happening either. There's been talk from Volvo and Ford about how you can order it a la carte. Yeah, I didn't see any of that. I went to those websites just for giggles. Nope.
But you can still walk into a dealership and place an order for a car to get exactly what you want within the manufacturer's parameters.
Yeah, if you want to wait 6 months, sure.
I've done it before. That is one way people can actually get what they want.
If you're willing to wait for it. That's the whole thing. Like nowadays, we don't even like the buying process. We don't even want to talk about the Carvanas and all that kind of stuff to make buying easier. So the dealer process is a little like, we all just like, can I just order it and have it show up via Amazon and they drop my car off? The builders are kind of stupid because when it comes to that inventory search, you're literally just better off going down to your local Ford dealer and seeing what they have on the lot and then just be happy with what they have. And the other thing is, if you do the nationwide search for cars, which is really interesting, if you went down to your local dealership and they didn't have what you wanted, in the old days, you could do what they called a DX, which was a dealer exchange. They would take something off their lot and they would swap with another dealer. That way they weren't out the car and they're making the sale, and there's all this backdoor stuff going on. There are now so many hefty destination fees to do something like that they're trying to persuade you never to do a DX, again, forcing you into that position of just be happy with what we have on the lot. The buying process, I don't want to have to go through it again if I don't have to. I think that's where I was at the bottom line. I guess at the end of the day, when you look at this list of data, which we'll have in the show notes, are any of these cars something that if you needed a new car today, do that summer savings, close out of the 24 models because the new ones are right around the corner. September is the 2025 year for cars. Would you buy anything off this list?
No.
First of all, I think all that's bullshit. I think you buy a car when you need a car, and that's just when you buy a car. You don't, oh my God, they're having a sale, I have to go buy the car. No, if you don't need a car, don't go buy a car.
I just priced a GR Corolla Circuit Edition 46.5. Done. I don't want any other trash on your list.
I got a deal for you, though. You know what the biggest bargain I found was? You know what you should buy, Tanya? You can get a brand new 2024 Chevrolet Malibu 26,995 optioned out.
26. Yeah. Okay.
Going back to all the times that we bring this up and we talk about it, yes, you can buy a car for less than 50,000, but is that the car you want to drive? Is that the car you want to be stuck with for the next 10 years?
A GR Corolla Circuit Edition?
Yeah, but you're spending 50 grand for that.
If you're telling me I have to spend 50 grand on something, I'd rather have that than a RAV4.
I don't know. Brad, C63 AMG Mercedes used, you probably get that for less than 30.
Wait, I thought we were buying new from the dealer.
There's options on the table. That's all I'm saying. But yes.
So we stopped talking about the normal car buyer and we started talking about the enthusiast, which takes us into
a whole different realm.
At one point, I was trying to stretch my budget to get a Black Series because you could get one for around 60. The first gen, the CLK Black Series, they were hovering around 60 grand. I don't know what they are now, probably higher, but I was like, I could make that work.
I still wouldn't be able to buy a $50,000 Toyota, I don't think.
Just think about that. We talked about this before, the price of the Volkswagens, where the GTI is going to be with the Mark 8.5. So if the GR Corolla is there, the Golf R is going to be $50,000 for sure because they got to compete.
320 horsepower
I
competition.
know. Yeah.
Well, I don't think we've actually figured out which of these cars are we going to buy.
Okay, so now we're forced to choose off this list.
Yeah, if you had to pick something off this list, what would it be?
Honda CR-V, RAV4, Ford Edge, Chevy Trailblazer, Jeep Cherokee, VW, ID4. No, I don't want any of these. God, I have to choose.
I would do the ID4 rear wheel drive, and I would slap on some extra Ryobi batteries to get a little more juice out of it.
I'd pick the Jeep all day long. I like the Stellantis products these days. I think I would go with that. I know what I'm getting into. I know what the all-wheel drive's like. There's certain things about the Jeep that have just become sort of second nature now. So I think that's where I would spend my money.
Can I get the Trailhawk?
Yes, those are available.
I'd probably get that.
She says with complete disdain, she's like, oh,
Total reluctance.
if I have to, I guess I'll buy a Jeep.
As of July 2024, the average transaction price for a new car in the US is $47,000. January 2023, the average new car transaction price was $49,468. So it has come down a little bit. Yeah, you did all that research when we just needed 2 quick Google searches.
I can't win for trying, that's for sure, right? Well, that said, I did a lot of homework. I was very proud of myself. It wasn't nearly as boring as my gas guzzling MPG calculations the last time I started doing homework between drive-through episodes. Let's move on to our regularly scheduled ranting and raving. So this brings us into Volkswagen, Porsche, and Audi news. And last month, like I mentioned before, we spoke about the Mark 8.5 GTI. The rumor on the street is the GLI is coming back, and it will be coming with a manual. We got to put might in air quotes, might come with a manual.
You mean like the book that tells you how to do everything in the car, right? That type of
Yeah,
manual?
that's the manual I was thinking of too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they even come with those anymore? Or is it like a QR code that you could go online for?
QR code in the glove box,
Yeah.
which is super convenient when you're stuck on the side of the road and your cell phone's dead and you're like, how do I change the tire?
My wife's car, which is a 2022, still has the book. I think that's for that very reason that Eric just pointed out is why manufacturers still put the book. Now you may have to pay extra for it. I don't know if it comes with the vehicle.
Don't give them any ideas.
I read this as the next Passat is coming with a manual transmission because the Jetta's huge.
Yeah.
But again, who's buying Jettas? I don't really see them too much on the road, except for the old ones. Like there's so many Mark V Jettas on the road. It's nuts.
I don't see a lot of Volkswagen, period. I don't see any Volkswagen.
Since Dieselgate, they've all disappeared.
Yeah, I don't see anything older than Mark 7 down here.
VW is in crisis, though. You heard about this?
Mm-mm.
3.8% drop in sales in China spells bad times for Volkswagen,
Does it?
I guess.
I don't know what their sales volume is in that region.
It was 3.8% higher last time.
Apparently,
exactly.
Whatever it was 3.8% higher.
Remember when we talked about how they let the guy that designed the ID Buzz and all the fun stuff, they kind of kicked him to the curb? And we were like, what in the heck is going on over there? Well, Volkswagen, in response to the drop in sales and this and that, because remember, VW is outside of the GTI, they're pushing hard this all EV stuff. So now they hired Andreas Mintz to come in and fix their crisis. And they call it the ID crisis. And I was kind of digging into that going like, is this an identity crisis or does it have to do with all these ID dot whatevers that they build in Europe that we never get, right? Because we only get the ID4 and over there they have like the ID2 and the ID3 and the ID4 GT and like all this other stuff that we've mentioned in previous episodes, fun cars that we'll never get. When I read about he's the hero, he's going to revolutionize and the designs and this and that, I'm like, none of it matters to me. Because none of the cars he's working on are going to come here.
VW is like the new General Motors.
They are so lost.
It's sad.
Because their financials are so bad and everybody is woe is me over at Volkswagen, multi-gajillion dollar company that it is. VW is taking away executives' company Porsches to cut costs. Does anybody feel bad?
Nope.
So they don't get to drive around in Panamera, so they're going to give them A8s, which are basically the same car, right? I mean, come on. I don't understand stuff like this. I mean, granted, we have stuff like this in the States too, where it's like, oh, my $350 billion bonus this year, they're going to cut it down to $250 million. I don't know what I'm going to do.
You can buy your own car. Go cry me a river. Get the hell out.
If a car manufacturer is giving somebody a company car, they should have to drive the shit they're trying to make everybody else buy.
Thank you.
A Toyota exec should be driving RAV4. Volkswagen exec should be driving a Touareg or whatever, Tiguan,
Warg,
Tigon
a
or
Taos. They drive a
whatever.
Taos.
But I'll take a company car.
Well, and I don't know how much this is drama llamas and hype and this and that, but then there's another article, and this might be the most serious part. Volkswagen is looking to close its first plant ever in Europe, shutting it down. It's one of the Audi assembly plants in Brussels. And I'm like, huh. So to me, that speaks volumes. It feels like that's the holy grail, right? You're like, you're not going to mess with the EU. You'll shut down factories in the United States and move them to Mexico, or you'll build them in Brazil and all the, the tactics that they've taken over the years. But here they're saying, we're going to shut down a factory in the EU. So what does that mean?
This says that they're closing their first EV factory. So this means that there may be a pivot.
We're pivoting
From EVs
back to gas.
It's something we've been preaching for the last how many episodes?
Yeah, but all the manufacturers have already come out and said that. But now they're reversing course.
So this just comes on the heels of, we're starting to change, and the EV factory wasn't such a great idea in the first place. So now what they should do is just turn it into something else, but maybe they don't have the money to do that.
Yeah, but you know what they do have the money for? They're going to invest another $5 billion with a B into Rivian. Here we are crying a river about, taking away a company exec car, shutting down factories, but now you're investing more money into an EV. Build the Rivian in that Audi plant. I don't know. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. These articles are speculative and they don't actually know what's going on. They haven't probably had a conversation with any of the executives at Volkswagen, so they're just throwing stuff up against the wall and seeing what sticks. And there could be other factors going on here as to why they're doing these things that we'll never know. So I say we need more context.
For sure. And we make fun all the time of the Cybertruck having all these recalls, and there's teething problems with every new car, but maybe part of the cost problem that they're faced with is recalls in the Volkswagen family. One of those things that people don't realize is, hey, I took my car in for the recall and I didn't have to pay anything to get it done. Well, there's a cost associated with that. All the technicians that have to do the work and the parts they have to replace and the stuff they have to redesign. If they did find a flaw, there's a whole supply chain that goes along with that. But this next one could be a significant punch in the gut from a financial perspective when you have to recall 271,000 Atlases because there's a problem with the airbag system in the passenger seat.
That isn't cheap.
What it's saying is that it will not inflate.
Well, at least it's not a problem with the airbag itself. It's a problem with sensors. So that might be an easier fix. Not to say that is no cost, but be a lot less costly than having to replace the actual airbags because those aren't inexpensive.
Well, some happy news. Something you can't buy for less than $50,000, the new street legal Porsche 935. So a British firm has found a way to make this basically track-only hypercar pass the DOT regulations, at least in the UK, and you can now drive 935 on the street. I think it's cool, but I don't know if I would want to commute in that.
Sign me up.
Really effective at the grocery store.
But you look hella cool going to the
How much mulch
store.
can you fit on the wing?
0.
I mean, if you're super rich, I guess that's cool.
No, you just kind of look douchey.
Speaking of, let's talk about our friends in Lower Saxony. So the 8 Series, which I thought was already dead, apparently is dying a slow death by 1,000 owners or something. BMW is reportedly bringing back the 6 Series.
They've gone in the right direction with the grills.
And nothing else. If you look at the blue one that's further down in the article, that looks like it might actually be a real car, not a rendering. Although these days it's really hard to tell the deep fakes from the real thing. I kind of like it. I think this might be the best looking 6 Series yet. It does retain some of the design language from the Bangle period 6 Series where, it had that kind of bucktooth beaver front end and it had that trunk that looks like they bolted it on as an afterthought. So it still retains some of those lines, but in a more mature, almost like two-door 5 Series sort of way, in the same way they did the M4 and the M3s. I feel like this new 6 Series is like the two-door 5 Series.
It's a Mercedes with a BMW grill and badge on it.
Why'd you have to call me out?
That's what it looks like, especially in profile.
That's not a 6 Series. That's
Yeah, it
an 8
is.
Series.
No.
The badge on the back right there says 850i.
I
know
said
it
the same
doesn't.
thing. If you go through the pictures, it's a 650i.
They zoom in full size on the 650.
Yeah, it's a 650.
That'd be the smallest 8 Series ever.
Okay, carry on. I'm sorry, I was just so confused.
No, but what they do hint at in these pictures, and there's like 200 of them, at one point they flash an M badge. Now, I don't know if that's an M650i or if it's an M6. You know how these days, if you want a proper M, it has to have competition next to it. I think I would be excited to see what BMW does with this if they go in the direction of an M6. But as you get further along in the pictures, there's also a 4-door version.
There's been a 4-door 6 Series, though.
I thought the 6 Series was always a 2-door. I mean, it was a 2-door back in the old days, like in the 70s and stuff, although that was the whole point.
Yeah, they've had 4 or 6 Series since 2011.
It was like the 6 Series Grand Sport or whatever. It was kind of along the same lines of the Mercedes CLS or SL, whatever that 4-door coupe thing that they were trying to sell.
Well, you know, I ignore those cars, so that's fine. In profile, the 4-door looks like every other Maserati 4-door and or Jag, so I'm not really impressed with it. I think it looks much better as a 2-door.
Yeah.
But here's one you can't ignore. I want this headline to sink in for a moment. I want to get your guys' reaction to this. McLaren could lean on BMW to enter the SUV segment.
Say what now?
Why not? Ferrari has one, Lamborghini has one, Porsche has one, Bentley, do they have one?
The Bentayga
There you go. So why not?
is nothing sacred anymore.
Ferrari has an SUV. I think we've passed the point of sacred.
Where's the Lotus SUV?
Yeah, there is a Lotus SUV, but McLaren doesn't need an SUV. Come on.
Neither does Lamborghini or Ferrari or arguably Porsche.
But it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, because what do people buy? They buy SUVs. They don't buy cars, they buy SUVs. And this is definitely not going to be $50,000. Would you like to guess what the price tag of this alleged McLaren SUV is going to be, though?
6 figures.
150,000.
So you know our mythical $50,000 budget number?
4
Yeah,
times that.
200,000 of it.
Add a zero. 10 times as high.
$500,000.
For a McLaren SUV. It better be the Lando Norris edition or something. I mean, for that kind of money.
It looks like they're trying to do a low volume special edition kind of thing.
Rich people things edition.
It's going to have zero resale value in the future. Can you imagine going to like Pebble Beach or going to like a Broad Arrow auction or any of these where it's like, and rolling across the lot now is a 2025 McLaren SUV. Let's start the bidding at a cool 750,000. No, that's not going to happen.
How many SLS AMGs can I buy for 500,000?
3 or 4.
A lot. You can buy some busted ones to harvest for parts too for that kind of money.
Because that's what I'm buying instead.
We'll switch gears here and talk a little bit about domestic cars. And like always, we'll start with Stellantis. So this isn't really a Stellantis thing so much as it is an awesome thing. There's a company out there, Vigilante 4x4s, that are throwing 800 horsepower Hellcat engines into old school Grand Wagoneers. And I'm here for all of it.
It is awesome until you see the price.
And how much is that, pray tell?
Almost as expensive as the McLaren SUV. If they put
Yeah.
a McLaren badge on this, it would be right. Here's my problem with the world today. Where are people getting all this money to buy $400,000 40-year-old SUVs?
And we talk about how the economy is weak and inflation and this and that, and the cost of everything's going up. $385,000 for a 1988 Grand Wagoneer with a Hellcat engine swapped into it. I mean, granted, it's turnkey, it's ready to go. You didn't have to do any of the work.
Rich people, celebrities are buying it and driving it once and then parking it somewhere where they don't remember, but their secretary knows.
It's a tax write-off. $385,000, that's somebody's home, depending on where you live, but that's somebody's home.
But can you drive your home at 807 horsepower?
Dodge would like you to believe that you could tow your house with 807 horsepower. I'm just saying.
You can sleep in your Jeep, but you can't drive your house.
Here's the thing. It's still a 40-year-old truck.
And it's awesome. I mean, I love these things. I think they're super cool. I thought about getting one of these. Unfortunately, Breaking Bad made the price of these things jump significantly because that's what Walter White's wife drove was a Wagoneer, and everybody went, "Ooh, the Wagoneer," because they kind of forgotten about it, right? And you couldn't touch one for like less than 40 grand, and they were ratted out. And I'm like, come on, is 385,000 justifiable? No. Is it still a $40,000 truck without the Hellcat engine? Yes.
When you look at it, it's the Singer philosophy. They went through every inch of this vehicle and redid it. So I understand the painstaking work that went into building this truck. What I don't understand is who's going to pay $385,000.
Robert Downey Jr. is going to pay $385,000.
Yeah, and then he's going to put a fucking electric motor in it.
Yeah. We all saw that show too, right? God.
Well, tell me a little bit about the engineering, architectural, structural robustness of the 1988 Jeep to handle 807 horsepower.
It's stronger than the Durango that motor came from. So that thing's built like a brick shit house.
It's body on frame. They redid all of the suspension. It looks like they redid the frame.
So they've bolstered the Jeep.
And that's why I was saying they were doing like the Singer model where they went through a Wagoneer and redid every single inch of this vehicle.
Okay.
It's like brand new, and they're using top of the line parts. It's Fox shocks and stuff. I can understand how it costs so much, given the labor. And to me, this thing's kind of a work of art.
It's beautiful.
I don't understand how people would pay that for that. Just like I don't understand how people would pay $500,000 to $1 million for a Singer. I understand the vehicle itself. I think it's beautiful. It's a work of art and everything, but I just don't understand where all this money is coming from. I guess OnlyFans and YouTube and Instagram, is that where it's all coming from?
It's people that are in a realm so far above us. I don't know, Michael Jordan goes and buys one of these or something, and that's like $20.
Yeah, but there's a lot of new money right now, too. There's a lot of people are like, either they're in debt way into the stratosphere, or there's just this glut of money out there that we don't have access to.
From who?
Everybody on the planet that keeps clicking on YouTube videos.
Okay, so how about your working class person? They're not buying this. They're not affording this. Even one of these YouTube influencers is somebody not in our realm either. I don't even understand how any of that works, but
right? That's why you're working a desk job and not out there influencing on YouTube.
Exactly. I'm the idiot, clearly.
I think all that stuff's going to come full circle eventually, too. That said, since we were talking about what you can buy for $50,000 or less, that's new and exciting, and as I've poked Brad about before, the 25s are right around the corner. How about the new Ford Capri?
It looks like a Polestar from the back.
Yeah, it does. Either a Polestar or even a Urus a little bit.
Expected to have a 400-mile range. It is an EV. It is an SUV. And I take issue with the name from the word go because the Capri, again, is sort of sacred ground. If anybody remembers the old Capris from back in the day, and obviously the Capri Swan song was shared with the Fox Body Mustang in the early 80s and things like that. But the Capri was like the British Ford Mustang. Our dad owned a Capri. They were super cool. I know a bunch of people that had Capris. Every time I see one, I think they're awesome. You put a Capri and an old Escort together. I mean, they're just delicious little cars, right? You're like, oh, that's awesome. That's what I want. The new Capri, much like the Hornet and some of the other sort of retro named cars, has nothing to do with its predecessor. So I'm just going to ignore the name for now.
No. We can't ignore the name yet.
What? Why not?
Because they're saying Capri stands for Cool Athletic Past Meets Future.
Wait, that's not even the right acronym. That's not how you spell Capri.
I know. I'm confused. C.A.P.R.I equals Cool Athletic Past. I got that far. And then meets future, rebellious to its core and boasts intelligent technology. Boom, RI.
That was developed by one of these YouTubers.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, they spelled crappy wrong.
Crappy. That's good. I like that.
Can you imagine walking in the dealership? Yes, I'd like to order the new Ford Cool Athletic Past Meets Future, a cult classic rebellious to its core, and boast intelligent technology, please. Base model.
Yes, in ceramic Mandarin pearl.
Yeah, can I get Millennial Grays?
Millennial Grage.
To stick with the Mustang theme, this should have just been called the Mustang 2 Mach-E.
I could see that as well if we're going to go down that path. You know what does sort of make it want though is Ford has partnered with Volkswagen to build this. Do you guys realize this is an ID4 with a Ford badge on it?
It's an ID4 from the front, but a Polestar from the back.
Is that the new EV mullet? ID4 in the front, Polestar in the back.
It's
Oh my
a
God.
Polestar in the back half and a VW from the front half. This thing
Yeah.
is suffering from its cool athletic past meets future, rebellious to its core, boasting an intelligent technology, cult classic, identity crisis.
Yeah, identity crisis. There you go.
You know what that is in German? I believe the word is Farfignugen. I honestly don't think we're going to get these in the States. Could be wrong. We didn't think we were going to get the Hornet either because that's the Alfa Romeo Tonale, but that ended up showing up on our shores. So maybe we'll get the new Capri. But I think it suddenly jumps into that bucket of cars that we were talking about earlier. It's not going to be nearly as expensive as the Mach-E, which is slowly creeped up in terms of price every year that's gone by. But we'll see. I mean, it's really interesting also for them to be touting yet another all-electric car when we're seeing the market soften on electric cars. We hit that, 7 or 8% saturation. It's plateaued. People are going back to gas. Manufacturers are going back to gas. People are still not convinced. Hybrid is the future, as we've been saying since day one, because of infrastructure and a million other things. So curious to see where this goes. When the EcoBoost version of the Capri comes out, you have my attention. Last month, we spoke about the Maverick and how they're growing that offering. And I made a joke about the Ranger, which I guess the gods of the internet were listening on my phone or otherwise, but it popped up in my feed. Did you know that there's a Super Duty version of the Ranger?
Nope.
Not yet, but they filed a trademark for it.
I think there's a lot of duty, not a lot of super in this. Yeah, okay. It's sort of like a T-Rex, right? It's like, oh, big scary Wait, it has tiny little arms. It can only bite me. I think the Ranger should just go away. I don't get it. The mistake is the 4-cylinder EcoBoost. And I know it's a nod to the old Rangers being 4 cylinders, blah, 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 blah. But the cool Rangers were the ones where they swapped the Fox body motor into them, big old 5.0. I thought the Ranger should have been a 6-cylinder, even if it was normally aspirated, like the old 6-cylinder Mustang engine would have been better for it because it's just such a big truck in comparison to what it used to be. You know what I mean? I'm like, whatever. We haven't talked about Ford at Pikes Peak in a while, not since that super fast 2,000 horsepower transit van.
Oh, but to be outdone with the audacious
This thing is awesome.
looking
Awesome.
F-115 Lightning super truck with quite the wing,
It's a wang. We got to get right. It's a wang.
quite the everything arrow on this thing.
This thing is awesome.
It is.
You need to just slap Hoonigan on the side.
It's right there, dude. And the best part is they've cut so much off of it, it doesn't even look like a truck anymore.
6,000 pounds of downforce.
The Viper only generates 4,000 pounds of downforce, so that's pretty good.
This is an F-150 like a NASCAR is a Camry.
Yes.
That's the only similarity is
Yeah,
that.
there's no relation to the actual
No, this is a
F-150 Lightning.
tube frame. I mean, look at the back. This is not an F-150.
No, it doesn't have to be an F-150. This is awesome.
It is awesome, yeah, but to call it an F-150 it's not enough.
I want to know how it did at Pikes Peak, though. I didn't find any results yet.
Because I think they already ran.
Yeah, they did at the end of June, but I didn't see any results like, oh, Ford captures the title with the F-150 Lightning super truck. I didn't hear anything.
Maybe it crashed.
Super cool, though. I love seeing stuff like this. I think this is awesome, and I think Ford needs to keep it up. That wing is ridiculous, though. Wang. So moving on to Japanese and Asian domestic car news. I got thrown for a loop. We all have streaming packages that we paid extra for to not have commercials. We all seem to have commercials. I saw the latest one from Mazda. And did you know that the Mazda CX-90, which is the big SUV, has an inline six?
Did you notice there were no Mazdas on your what should I buy list?
I wonder why. I thought that was interesting, right? Because if you think of inline sixes, if you're an enthusiast, your brain goes, oh, 2JZ, Supra, yeah, turbos, let's go. Or BMW. Where did Mazda get an inline six? I'm not trying to throw shade at them, but I'm really curious. So the video I posted is not the commercial. It's more of an in-depth video about the engine and how they designed it and how they designed the car around it and why it's so important. As a nerd, I found it super fascinating. So I'm really curious. to see what happens with this new engine that Mazda has come to the table with.
Except they're also coming back to the table with another rotary.
That's the second mistake they're making today.
I don't think the inline six is a mistake. I think it's kind of cool. Mercedes came out with a new inline six not too long ago as well, I thought.
The first mistake is coming out with another SUV and not a new Miata.
Could you imagine an inline six in a Miata?
Dude, that'd be sick.
That would be awesome.
Or a turbo from the factory. We haven't had that since the NBs, the Mazda Speed Miatas. Dude, it's time for a new Miata. Like, I hate to say, if we had an NE Miata, like the 5th generation, it needs to be bigger than the ND. I know so many people love the ND, blah, 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 blah. Great. I like the NC. It's comfortable. The NC needed a 2.5 liter, which is the common swap that everybody does from like the Fusion and all that, or a turbo or whatever. I think we need a 5th generation Miata, not another SUV that nobody's going to buy. Because an SUV this big, a full size, if you're looking at it as like a status item, I kind of feel like you're wasting your money, right? You're going to buy a BMW X5, or you're going to buy a GL, or you're going to buy something else. You're not going to buy this. When you're going to spend $65,000 or more on an SUV, Mazda's not the first dealership you go to.
No. This should be an inline six rotor.
Dude, that'd be like 787B territory, right? That'd be crazy.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Meanwhile, Subaru would like to welcome everyone to 1999 because you can get a CD player in your WRX.
How stupid.
Why?
Here's the best part. It's $375 to $450.
Extra.
Plus installation.
Then the comment is, but that's not a lot of money, given that adding a CD player later could be too costly or complicated to be worth it. Let's take a pause here. Let's skip like the old CD players. I can go to Best Buy. They still make them. Portable CD player for as low as $24.99. I can get an aux cable, plug that bitch in, stick it in the glove box, keep going. Guess what? A lot less than $375 to $450.
When was the last time you bought a CD?
TurboTax?
Yeah, right. Tapes were great in the car because they didn't really care about the bumps in the road. The suspensions of the old cars aren't nearly as nice as the ones we have today. But CDs were like the worst media for cars. You hit a Marlboro cigarette butt and it was like, and then they start jumping around. All this shit would happen. And you're like, ugh, this is horrible. It's like trying to have a record player in your car. No.
Oh my God. Could you?
We're going to vinyl.
I'm just envisioning someone with a Cybertruck, and in the passenger seat, they've got their record player hooked up to the stereo, and he's got the drive itself system on or whatever. And he's over there like trying to make sure the needle doesn't skip and scratch his record.
Because vinyl has that high fidelity. It's got a much better sound than digital.
I've listened to a lot of vinyl and a lot of digital, and I can't fucking tell the difference. All I hear is the crackling and the popping and the snap, crackle, pop.
Which is what we spent an eternity trying to get rid of. And
Yeah.
now we're going back to this. Turning the page a little bit, Toyota, as we mentioned, might be getting rid of the Supra, but they've teased the return of the Celica.
Celica?
As the Brits like to call it, the Celica. That's what Jeremy Clarkson used to always say. So the Celica might be coming back,
I don't hate that in concept.
right?
It's admittedly, maybe it's growing on me.
It's more Supra than the current Supra.
That's the problem. It's not Celica enough.
It's got to be front-wheel drive with an anemic 4-cylinder that looks like a roach.
They had all-wheel drive Celicas, so we could be all-wheel drive. That's
The
acceptable.
last Celica was like the Toyota Paseo, and they stretched it out, and they called it a Celica.
The front, it's not right.
The best
It's not
part.
right.
I
I
like
don't
it.
know.
The front looks like the Lexus race cars. That's what that looks
Yes.
like to me.
It's too sharp.
I like it, though. It's very Transformers.
I like it a lot.
If that had a Supra badge and you told me that was the next gen Supra, I'm all about it because I'm like, at least it doesn't look like a BMW.
The last Celica, there was like the mousy one.
Yes, the stretch Paseo.
Sure, I don't know, remember what a Paseo looks like. I mean, I see where the design line are there, especially with the headlights, because that last Celica had the headlights that kind of triangled up. So it's sharing that. The grille is obviously completely wrong, very Lexus. But the Celica that I want it to look like is the older one with the round lights,
The 4-track.
which came as all-wheel drive, because that was like the rally version.
You're talking about with the
Yeah.
pop-up headlights.
There's that one too. I wouldn't mind it looking more like that. But like the mid-90s Celica.
You could get the 4-wheel drive version of it.
Now, it would also be cool with this design, if this never went anywhere, if we take that Toyota badge off and we put a Nissan badge on it. Tell me it doesn't look like the Z
Yeah, like you melded a 370 and a GTR together.
I really like this, rendering or otherwise. I think this is really, really cool.
Well, that's my problem with it. It's like I'm having a crisis with the name with the car because the car is not even like horrible looking. It's like growing on me, but it's like does not compute. It's not a Celica. It looks like something else, but it's not.
Well, let's move on to random EVs and new concept cars. And we're not going to talk about anything new, and we're not going to talk about anything conceptual. What are we going to talk about here?
Chevy Bolts.
People are saying they're coming back around on the Chevy Bolt. They're saying it was ahead of its time.
Was it now?
Well, because plug-in hybrid is the way to go.
Now automakers are just catching up to where the Volt was. I heard the same story about the Aztec too.
Yeah, because even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Woo!
We'll move on. So, Brad, it's time for your favorite section, Lost and Found, where we're not going to look for anything on dealer lots. We're going to talk about really interesting stuff you can buy for any sorts of amounts of money. So, how about this? We talk about how bad the stainless steel is on the Cybertruck, how you got to keep it clean, you got to watch out for bird poop and all sorts of things. What about a Cybertruck that's been polished to within an inch of its life?
Pretty cool.
Whoever did this, mirror-like finish.
Yeah.
It's almost camouflage when you look at it. So it's very Wraith, Stealth, Knight Rider. Is it worth $150,000?
Is it worth an extra $50,000?
No,
How dirty does that get?
I don't even know what to say. But that is how people are dealing with these Cybertrucks.
Paint them.
Wraps.
I have seen some black ones because I guess they're wrapped or whatever, and they do look like the Wraith at that point. They're pretty creepy going down the road.
Yeah.
I don't think the Cybertruck looks good in any color. You can paint it blue. I mean, you paint it yellow, orange, these M&M colors that exist on, let's say, the Mopars and the Fords and stuff. There's no way. The body shape, it just doesn't work. It is cool. It's different. I mean, it is hyper polished. It looks like a mirror. I don't know that I would want that either.
Nope.
Texas size, hard pass. That actually segues us right into Tesla Gate. So we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Tesla.
Oh boy. Woe is them. Their sales are down. Wah, wah.
It's a significant number. I was listening to Not Popular Radio, NPR, and their finance reporting was saying 45% decrease in fictitious sales last quarter. So this is the second quarter in a row where Tesla is just sort of on the decline.
That means it's probably a 75% decrease in actual math.
I don't think their percent of sales fell 45% because they still are considered the largest share of EVs. Their percentage of sales did decrease, but then arguably, like everyone's has, right?
This says their market share.
If they're diluted, then that would only mean that that's because there's more people bringing EVs in, right? So it's like their numbers are the same, but their overall percentage goes down because there's a lot of people in the market, right? So, I mean, are they having a problem? It's called competition.
Well, it is, and it's BYD. It's the Chinese coming in and building a better product for less.
Well, better.
Well, I'm trying to be nice.
The bar's not high.
They did have some quotes from our favorite friend Elon, and some of the things he was saying, he's still promising the self-driving taxi and the cheaper Model 2 or whatever they're calling, the cheaper Model 3 or whatever it is that they're going to put out. And it's all stuff that we've heard before. So at this point, I'm like, it's the boy who cried wolf. How many more times are you going to say that this is coming or that's coming? I was waiting for him to say, and when the Tesla Roadster comes, I'm like, come on. I don't believe it as far as I can throw it at this point. The Cybertruck has to be eating into them big time.
It's the best-selling electric pickup truck in the US.
That's what I heard too. Is that some sort of new math?
Considering how many electric pickup trucks there are to choose from, there's like 3. And what does that mean? They've produced them? That's selling. Everybody put a deposit down. Does that mean they were sold? I don't know.
It should not.
It's the estimated sales numbers.
Well, maybe it is estimated sales number. I don't know. Because they also mentions delivery number. And what does that mean? Is it actual deliveries to person or to the Tesla parking lot where they're all parked? 'Cause we've seen those pictures too.
So Lotus does something like that, where it's like orders received and then deliveries accomplished. And so it's when the consumer actually receives their vehicle. That's the delivery.
We don't know what their definition is.
No, because as we alluded to when Brad's been shopping for his Cybertruck, they could generate a VIN like they generate a software key. So that thing's not even built yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
But what I do know is you can get DLC for your Cybertruck now.
Downloadable content.
What I mean by that is now we have add-ons like the $300 tailgate cover and the jump seats and other things like that to accessorize.
Do we really think the tailgate's strong enough for somebody to sit on
No,
when the trim pieces are flying off?
no. And what's wrong with just sitting on your tailgate? Why does it need seats and a cover?
I could see how bougie it would be to have like a seat when you're sitting there and kind of like recline, which you could also just go buy like a beach chair that's super low and just sit it on your tailgate. But there are other, I don't remember if it's Ford or Chevy or GM or who it is. There is someone whose tailgates are going to have like butt shape.
So that's not new. That's not new. The Aztec had those in its
I
tailgate.
knew you were going to bring
The
it up.
Aztec.
The Aztec. Well, they're bringing it back on some of the new models now.
It was also ahead of its time, like the Chevy Volt.
It's great to be ahead of your time, but always behind. Yesterday's technology tomorrow.
That's GM's motto.
Oh my God.
Welcome back to 8-Track.
The CD player is coming back in the car because that's really good.
But you know what's ironically cool? Tesla Autopilot. Yeah. Did you see this latest one?
I did.
I thought they weren't supposed to call it that.
I thought we covered this as a Florida person last time.
Is that a Model Y? It looks like a Model Y.
They all look the same from a distance, but yes.
The headline reads Tesla Autopilot mistakes train tracks for road, and then the driver didn't immediately notice.
Well, here's the thing. What kind of a-hole are you? And maybe it's the angle of the picture and there was actually a road that crossed this train tracks, but I'm thinking not actually, because there's a sign that would indicate that there's no road going
Right.
there. There's a T intersection. You let the car leave asphalt onto gravel, down a ditch, up the ditch, onto the railroad tracks, turn and line yourself up with the tracks, and then go like however many feet down the. At what point did you think something's not right here?
It's when the melatonin gummies wore off and they came out of their deep sleep.
Don't you mean the weed gummies?
Yeah. I also question who took this photo.
So that makes me wonder if it was staged.
You can't trust anything anymore
No, you
today.
can't.
I'm also like, is this real? Or did some asshole be like, hold my beer, I'm going to drive down the tracks on my Tesla.
No, the photo was posted by the police department, so they probably took it for evidence.
Oh, that's where the Tesla died. It was like a crime scene photo. That's what that
Yeah.
is. Because the suspension fell apart from riding down the railroad tracks.
Oh, well, I mean, honestly,
Was it trying to use the third rail to charge?
This little like R2D2 arm comes out and it's just trying to charge off the third rail. It mistook it for its mother.
Are you my mother?
oh gosh.
All right. So next up in Tesla buffoonery, we have problems with unintended acceleration.
Oh God. Tesla Cybertruck. The accelerator may or may not disengage when the brake is depressed. But what does the brake have to do with it? If I let my foot off the accelerator pedal, shouldn't it disengage?
It's all digital. The ones and zeros are still flowing.
But I don't rely on my brake pedal to disengage my accelerator pedal.
You do when it's a Thrustmaster pedal box that you're working with.
Like, I feel like they're blaming the brake pedal, but there's more here. Like, the problem isn't the brake pedal.
I'd blame the meat behind the steering wheel. On the same token, this is basic stuff, right?
If it's an electronic software problem, it doesn't matter the meat behind the wheel because it's not your fault. If you input and there's no output.
Again, this is why our insurance rates are going through the roof too.
Which is probably why, though, cars at some point, I don't know if it's standard on all of them, but like in the Volkswagens of a certain era, you stop being able to accelerate and essentially left foot brake for more than approximately literally 3 seconds because then it cuts the acceleration off. Which was probably a safety reason, I would assume, so that some a-hole didn't just keep pushing the accelerator down while they're trying to stop and then keep going forward. So the fact that this doesn't have a feature like that, or that feature also broke because it's all electronically controlled, because if the gas pedal did fail to disengage electronically, then there should have been another code written that said brake pedal engaged, no matter what's happening, cut off.
I guess it's using the accelerator for the all-wheel drive system, kind of as their, I guess, their limited slip and traction control and stuff. Because a Tesla representative said, "We have reviewed logs, and due to the terrain,
The terrain, he's in a freaking parking lot. The terrain.
He was in his driveway. He slammed into his house.
it may have been a gravel drive in which he needed
What?
to activate
Are you
his."
seeing a different article than I am? I can literally see painted lines on asphalt.
They're reviewing why the back tire is locked.
The accelerator may or may not disengage traction control.
I mean, I'm assuming he's in it. It looks like he's like in his driveway. I don't know. Maybe this is like later he brought the car home after he like hit a pole somewhere.
No, I'm further down. There's another X post on Elon Musk's other business venture.
In surveillance footage, the impractical pickup darted up a hill into a neighbor's house with the rear
Yeah.
wheels completely locked up. The owner stated that the throttle and steering were unresponsive as he held the brake pedal to the floor.
You can see the video of the truck going
crash.
up the hill.
He put down 50-foot long skid marks.
That's awesome. Guys try to build 900 horsepower motors to do burnouts that long. Just saying, all you need is a Cybertruck now.
All you need to do is lock your rear wheels.
Remember when you guys made fun of me and I said it was rushed to production? And you
No, we didn't.
I don't think we ever
I don't
did
think
that.
we ever said that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you did.
No, I
Yeah.
don't think so.
This thing was rushed to production. I'm just saying.
But I think we used to say if this thing ever makes it to production, it's too soon.
Just saying. There's so many problems with this thing. Ugh.
When are they going to blame the tires or the input delay on the steering?
The more we talk about the Cybertruck and Tesla and everything is we're giving them free publicity, as you like to
I
mention.
know.
How's Elon going to respond to this next one?
Probably like a petulant child. Oh, the vandalism on the Cybertrucks. I recall this now. Yes, they wrote duck, but with an F. Elon.
On the hood of multiple ones.
Wonder how that buffs out of stainless.
Tesla fans are saying they should sell the trucks as is as a limited edition.
You know what? I could see him being like, I'll sign it.
How many of them did they do this to? It's a lot of them, isn't it?
It says dozens.
Well, inside of this article, they're talking about how they want to produce 2,500 Cybertrucks a week.
Who's buying these? Here's where I ask the question. Who's buying these? Who has the money?
I don't know. He wants to put 150,000 of them on the road by next year.
There's 10,000 YouTubers a month who are going to go buy 100,000. No, I don't think so because these people don't drive, these YouTuber influencers.
If you think about it, I think the recalls are always interesting because it gives you more real life numbers as to cars that are out there. So, for instance, we talked about the Atlas, 271,000 cars that they have to fix. In the beginning, we mentioned the wiper recall for the Cybertruck. So realistically, 11,000 trucks need to be fixed. So let's just say this thing's been out since when, Brad? The beginning of the year?
Yeah.
So we're 7-8 months in now, and they've only really sold 10,000 vehicles, or there's 10,000 vehicles on the road. That's not great. I don't know how they're going to get to 150,000 units by January. They're going to be sitting around on lots, knocking birds out of the sky because of the reflection.
At a loss for words.
Yeah. Normally at this point, I would say my expectations are thoroughly lowered, but I've been starting to think about it. Maybe we should rename it to, well, that's unfortunate. Right, Tanya?
Mhm.
Apparently, Goodwood was not so good for this Lotus. Did you see the video?
I'm watching it right now on loop, and I think we all know who we think is driving this car.
And who's that?
We can't say it on the air because I don't want to upset anybody.
2,000 horsepower Lotus Evija didn't even make it
4 car lengths at best.
and binned it. They did real bad. But it did a smoky burnout. I mean, it was an epic burnout. But here we go again. And they claim that it's this electric stuff, blah, blah, blah. It broke loose. One wheel gets away from the other one, and then you can't control it. And it's just a nightmare. And what's wrong with a proper transmission?
Why is it not all-wheel drive?
Yeah, when you're making 2,000 horsepower to put it through the rear wheels, that seems kind of nuts to me.
They should call Koenigsegg and ask him how they make their cars.
Yeah, right. I'm sure Christian would be happy to share the secret.
Yeah, for billions of dollars.
We don't tell poop jokes too often on this show.
I think we told one earlier about the Ford Ranger Super Duty.
And the crappy.
Yeah, and the new Ford Crappy EV.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you got me there. I guess this is the hat trick then, because did you know that GM basically created a mobile incinerator?
No, I never knew that.
I went somewhere dark and twisted with this.
This is like the RV that was in the movie Stripes, right? I mean, these GM motorhomes were around forever. They're kind of cool, six wheel, the whole nine yards. But if you look into this groundbreaking technology that they created, basically every time you took a number two, it went out the tailpipe through this complicated system where it used the heat from the catalytic converters to basically incinerate your excrement while you were going down the highway. Definitely not the French fry smell that you get from the biofuel.
I'm
That's
intrigued.
it gives a new meaning to biodiesel.
A whole new type of smoke screening. It might even be better.
Can you imagine though? You're like a mile behind this guy, you're going up a mountain road, and you turn to your kids, you're like, did you fart? What is that smell? Ah!
Their farm?
And you're looking around and there's no farms. And you know, the typical road tripping story. Nope, some guy in his GM RV going uphill, burning his poop.
So if you like floored it, I guess it would incinerate it faster. So you want to drive real slow then, I guess. You want to cool the exhaust temps.
No. Because this thing is so big and heavy, once it exceeds 30 miles an hour, the exhaust temperatures are already above 900 degrees. So they were like, we'll just put the poop down the chute, burn it, done. So you don't even have to be going that fast. So at 70 mile an hour,
I feel like this is genius.
Right?
Because what are you people with your diesel trucks doing now? You're buying deer piss to put into yours to do the exact same thing. Are you not?
more or less, yeah, that's what DEF is. It's urea.
Why not just bring back the system and you could use your own?
I mean, it goes with the other part of the story that GM is ahead of its time and everybody else is just trying to catch up. I like the name for this thing, though. The Thermasan, as in thermal sanitary, right? Thermasan, waste reduction system. There's brochures, there's pamphlets, there's diagrams. Can you imagine having to service this thing?
I love this part. It says a screen prevented solid waste from entering and clogging the system, which would have been hellacious to fix. Amusingly, Thetford, I guess the guy from the company, called the exit an ejection orifice.
That's awesome.
Ejection orifice.
Speaking of ejection orifices, this next one, it just begs the question, what compels someone to do something like this? And it also goes back to our theme of where do people get the money to do this?
I want to know more about the counterweight on this.
I want to know how he didn't kill himself standing next to that fan. This is insane. He bolts a radial aircraft engine to the back of a 70s Beetle. This is nuts. And it sounds terrible. And then what? You take this to Cars and Coffee? How do you not get pulled over immediately?
I don't know what to say.
I don't know.
You make one false move coming around the back end of that car, you are dead. That thing is insane. And I bet it drives like complete garbage too. To your point, the counterweighting, I mean, just awful.
It's got a Hellcat motor in the front driving the front.
Oh,
So that's how they balance it.
well, speaking of what compels people, we have an Uncool Wall nominee. Have you guys seen this thing? This was actually a real picture taken by my wife on a recent college tour.
Please tell me your wife took this picture in Portland. It looks like a very Portland thing.
No, she was in Philly. It was in Philly. And she posted it in our Discord and goes, what is this? And I actually didn't have an answer. We had to do some research on this one. And it's the Myers Motors NMG.
Didn't Jeremy Clarkson drive something like this to the offices at Top Gear?
Well, that was a Peel P50, which it sort of looks like, but it's much, much bigger because look at it in reference to the scooter that's next to it. And I love the fact that they just happen to be together because now you have an idea of how goofy it is, but also I think I would rather have that Yamaha scooter that's next to it than drive that thing. This thing is awful. So all I can say is go to our website, gtmotorsports.org, click on Break Fix, and then go to Uncool Wall, and you can vote on this and like 65 other cars that have been nominated either through What Should I Buy or the drive-through or our staff picks. There's no shortage of just really freaky cars out there, and this is definitely one of them. But in the meantime, got to switch gears and talk about rich people things. Sponsored in part by Garage Style Magazine, because after all, what doesn't belong in your garage? How about the new Bentley? And it's not the Bent Yaga Daba Daba Doo. This is the new Bentley Continental GT Speed, 771 horsepower. Pretty nice A8, wouldn't you say?
I want it.
That is a good looking car.
Yes, yes. I love all the Bentleys, like the Bentley race cars and stuff. I've liked the Bentley GT Continental since it came out. It's just a good looking car with massive power, a massive motor.
I actually got the opportunity to drive the W12 twin turbo version of this that came out, whatever it was, like 10 years ago. First, I was like, whatever, it's a two-door A8, big deal. It's all Volkswagen stuff because, Volkswagen owns Bentley, right? But it had all these really interesting luxury things. Like there's this little arm that brings the seatbelt to you so you don't have to like turn and reach back for it and possibly like tweak your shoulder while, you're putting your seatbelt on. And the seat adjusts and it like massages you. And in a corner, it'll push up against you to make sure that you're not leaning out. All this stuff. It's like got all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, no wonder it weighs 9,000 pounds. But the minute you wrapped on the throttle, holy hell, it was like a tornado. It just unleashes all this power. And that motor, that W12 twin turbo, I don't think was nearly as powerful as this is. I think it was like 650 horsepower, and now they're talking closer to 800. So I can only imagine with all-wheel drive and that kind of power, what kind of gut punch it would be to just open the taps on this thing. But at the same time, I think this looks better than the older Bentley, which wasn't bad looking. Sometimes the newer cars are like, I'm not really convinced. It's a little uglier or whatever. This is actually really, really cool. It definitely has some very Germanic styling cues to it, but on the same token, I think this is really slick.
I was about to say I don't hate it, and then I saw the back of it.
e-tron GT or this?
This.
No, I would get the e-tron.
What? Ah,
Now I'm looking at used Bentley Continental GTs.
How much is this Bentley? Because I think I can get two e-trons. I'd get day and night versions.
cheaper than the McLaren SUV, but more expensive than that Grand Wagoneer. I'll put it that way.
Then I could buy three e-trons maybe.
Who can afford these things? Rich people can afford these things. Well, you know what? We're going to go down south and we're not going to talk about rich people. We're going to talk about alligators and beer.
All right, so this one, okay. Boat launch fail of the year. Now, you see the
Christ.
beginning photos here. You need to scroll down to where you see the first Beer and Bananas Instagram video. And you need to watch the Instagram video. However, I'm giving you a disclaimer. This will be painful for you guys to watch.
I can see the first photos and I can already understand why.
So they're attempting to pull the boat out of the water on the trailer.
Wait, is that a human tow hitch?
Yeah.
Keep watching.
Oh, wait, there's 4 parts to
There's
this?
4 parts. You want to watch part 1.
Whoa! Oh my God! No! No!
Oh!
Oh! Holy shit! And where's the next one? Where's the part 2? Here we go.
So part 1, for those who aren't enjoying the video, imagine a man holding onto the back of a tailgate of a pickup truck, horizontal, with his waist inside the boat. And as the pickup truck's pulling the boat out of the water on the trailer, he's acting like the winch, essentially. He's going to pull the boat along with
his feet.
Essentially, because he starts getting dragged out of the boat, of course, because he's not able to hold on to a boat.
Because physics.
They almost get out of the water, but he's completely out of the boat and then slams down crotch into to the tow hitch of the pickup truck. Very painful. So that was part 1 of the video. Part 2 of the video is now they got up out of the water onto the ground before the boat fell off the trailer. Then it slipped off the trailer because it was never locked in place. So now they've got a boat on dry land and they're all standing around going, what do we do? What they end up doing is just pushing it, scraping it across the ground back into the water, and they get it back into the water. Part 3 I didn't watch because everything said that it was really boring and not really worth watching. So I didn't watch it, but I do recommend watching the conclusion of this. Part 4 is the glorious finale of getting the boat out of the water, and this guy is just peak Florida man.
Why are they unhooking it? They got the boat pulled up. Why unhook it?
I'm going the wrong way. I'm turning the wrong way.
And now he's dancing, headbanging. He's so happy.
Yeah, and he almost knocks himself out on the back end of that truck because he's like headbanging it.
He's the guy that slammed his nuts at the beginning.
Yes, he is. Yeah, yeah.
And he's recovered from that very quickly.
We've made this joke before that there's something in the water, whether it's the alligator piss or whatever. As again, I was listening to NPR, they were talking about a report about how down towards like Brazil, there are sharks that are basically on cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Cocaine Bear. As they were explaining this, and what was boggling people's minds is what is the concentration level of cocaine in the water that basically the sharks aren't metabolizing it and the water isn't diluting it enough? Because again, this is in the ocean. That's a lot of water. So if you can't dilute the cocaine, how much is in the water? So now I'm thinking about the jet stream and the currents, and my head's going, and this is why Florida is the way it is. The way the waters move. There's got to be something in the water.
It's not the cocaine in the water, it's the cocaine in themselves.
Oh.
I was expecting something more exciting in the last.
No, I mean, it ends just with like this guy is on something, clearly.
Yes.
From
very,
part
very
one,
clearly.
there's something's not
You don't say.
not normal.
Speaking of not normal, we like to make fun of Altimas more often than not as well. Did you hear about the Altima man that broke into a dealership?
This is wild because he didn't, but also I could see his point that his car was stolen.
Guy goes to the gas station. He's got his Altima at the pump. I guess he goes inside like people do, which super irritates me. Move your car, park it, free up a pump, especially if you're at the diesel pump. Drives me nuts. So I guess he doesn't leave it in gear or whatever. It's an automatic, so whatever. He must have had it in neutral. The car just starts rolling away. And they've got it on the security cameras. It rolls away. It goes across the street and then crashes into a dealership, destroys the front of the dealership, this one and the other. So the guy reports his car stolen. And then the next morning, the guy at the dealership is reporting that somebody crashed into the building and vandalized the property. And it was all just the car by itself.
There's an argument to be had here.
Yes, that the Altima was too nice and it needed to be beat up. So it just sacrificed itself. It just said, my driver's too good to me. I'm going to go find a building to slam into. And that's what it did.
No, but the distance this car went, can you imagine? You go inside the gas station, I don't know, you go to the bathroom, you can't see your car anymore, and you come back out, it's nighttime. So the car was off, the headlights were off. This thing crossed 4 lanes plus a median,
A divided highway.
then through a parking lot, smashes into a building. So you come out of the gas station, you're like, I left my car here. It's not here. You're looking around. It's not here. You're not thinking, let me look way across the street over there
Like a quarter mile or more. Yeah.
to that closed parking lot and see if my car's over there. You're like panic getting on the phone going, holy shit, my car was just stolen.
This Altima is actually Herbie. Okay. It just drove itself. It just put itself in the wall.
It's more like Christine.
Curious now, like how the insurance handles something like this because he was negligent, one could argue.
Yes.
So he should be at fault.
It all starts with him leaving his Altima unattended at the gas pump.
Let's talk about something else here. How impressive is that Altima?
It tracks straight.
And over a median and was able to keep going. It was hard to tell. It didn't seem like the downhill was that downhill, but it must have been quite the descent for it to have picked up enough speed to hop over the curb, not beach itself on the median then, but then come back down and then keep going into the dealership.
Altimas are strong vehicles.
They have to be. It's like my toddler. I try to go feed my toddler dinner and it runs away. I mean, he's trying to give his Ultima some fuel and it's like, nah, dog, I'm out of here. Leave me alone. I'm good. I had a snack earlier. I'm okay. I'm good.
Just when you guys thought it couldn't get any worse. Have you heard? And I'm not talking about the Olympics because that's going on right now. Have you heard
Oh, I've heard of it.
about the Florida Man games?
I'm watching the trailer now.
Dude, they got events like dumpster diving for catalytic converters while wearing inflatable alligators and being chased by the cops. Does it get any better than
Evading
that?
arrest, yeah. Obstacle course.
It doesn't get any more Florida than this.
That is epic. That needs to be on a streaming service. This is the new MXC. This is hilarious. Florida Man games.
They're looking for vendors and sponsors.
We should do this. Sponsored by the drive-through. Done.
March 1st
right.
next year.
Can we go? March 1st, we gotta go, dude. Come on. Come on.
That's,
www.thefloridamangames.com. We got to go.
that's early.
I mean, obviously it's in
Elkton,
Florida.
Florida. Where is that?
All right, listeners, sign up for our Patreon. Send us to the Florida Man Games. We got to go. We got to cover
North of
this.
Daytona Beach.
That's like at the height of Florida Man.
All right, Eric, if we're going to go, you and I got to start growing our mullets now because there's a mullet contest.
Oh, have you seen my hair lately?
Oh
Dude, I'm getting there. I'm
my
getting there. Man. I'm
God.
getting there.
Just shorten the sides.
I'm at Corvette level. I'm not at Fiero level yet. I'm not quite there yet.
Wow. Tickets are $35 general admission, up to $420 for that RV Country Trailer Park Pass.
Going VIP then. Come on. We need enough Patreon sign up.
Includes VIP parking area, unlimited ride. There's rides, unlimited ride passes.
You missed the fine print. It's unlimited rides in the backseat of a police cruiser to the jail. Unlimited rides.
Climate-controlled indoor VIP area, 3 free drinks, free catered lunch, VIP best rooms, and reserved bleacher seating during the Florida Man game.
This is awesome. We got to do this. Sign up Patreon. Send us to the Florida Man Games. We're going to do this. Brad. This is good.
Weaponized pool noodle mud duel. Oh my God.
Dude, all of it is amazing. It's time we go behind the pit wall and talk a little bit about motorsports news. Not falling too far from this whole Florida Man Games story. You know, it's not uncommon to have an opening prayer at a race, but this one takes the cake. And I got to give a shout out to my wife for finding this golden nugget. Have you guys seen this opening prayer at this NASCAR race?
Thank you for the Fords and Toyotas.
This was a Talladega Nights moment. I mean, this is just epic.
Is this the one where the guy talks about his wife?
Smoking hot wife Lisa. Boogity, boogity, boogity.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Hey,
Somebody was
man.
watching Cars too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I love the guy in the background too. He's like, yeah.
It's a guy on a John Deere dressed up like Randy Savage,
Yes.
drinking a beer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. Preach on, brother. Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh
Oh
my
God.
God.
It's funny because it's real, not because we're making fun of it, because it's real and it happened. God bless. That was awesome.
I haven't heard that one yet. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Boogity, boogity, boogity.
Oh man, can you imagine?
Someone did Jesse's prayer from the Fast and the Furious in the comments. Dear Heavenly Spirit, thank you for providing us with direct port nitrous injection, 4-core intercoolers, and ball bearing turbos, and titanium valve springs. Thank you.
Boogity boogity.
Boogity boogity.
Shall we address the elephant in the room? Formula One.
What's Formula One?
I mean, I don't even want to talk about all the BS with Verstappen and blah 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 blah. Whiny baby cry stuff. I want to talk about this Brad Pitt movie. This is some smoking hot garbage.
I feel like the plot line is going to be smoking hot garbage because there's yet to be evidence that there is one. Which, in fairness, is like the first trailer, so they only have so much, I guess, they can show. But for someone who is not a fan, not a follower, it's going to be visually very exciting for them.
If you like CGI, yes.
Well, that's all anything is these days.
I mean, I think it's all real footage. I don't know
Right.
if there's accidents and things like that, but the CGI comes in where they've taken real footage and changed the liveries and changed the colors so that it matches what the movie's trying to do. Because there are legitimate scenes that are real F1 clips of other drivers, but then they've just photo edited afterwards, video edited, and made it look like it was Brad's pit car going up Eau Rouge when it was really pure gasoline.
I'm still going to watch it, just like every other car movie that comes out.
The trailer that's out now, I don't think there's been a second one yet, but whichever version it was, it's just like it opened with Brad Pitt saying some garbage, and I just wanted to vomit when he first started speaking. I don't know, it was just a reaction. It just sounded so dumb. What he was saying was McLaren, Audi, or not Audi, McLaren, Mercedes. I got Audi on my brain because that's another hot topic. They've all got the speed, but we need to tack in the corners. And it's like, what are you even fucking talking about? Because then like his engineer's like, you want me to build a unsafe car? Like, what? And then the premise seems to be basically backmarker with no funding suddenly rises to become F1 world champion. It's like, that's not how it works.
No, no, no.
There's no Cinderella story here that whoever no name scrounged up a few dollars to get into a race car in Formula One and suddenly is beating Red Bull. No, not reality.
Did you also happen to catch in the background of that trailer? I thought I saw Gunther Steiner.
Yes, he does make like a cameo in there.
Just tells you sponsored by Haas
Well, and
Motors.
that's what I'm confused too. Like, what is this storyline? Because it showed at the time, I guess they were at Silverstone, maybe? I don't remember. It was one of the recent races, and Brad and whoever else has been going to all the events, and they're quietly in the background recording to give it that authentic feel. So a lot of times when some of the other people are doing their press interview stuff, Brad's over behind them, sort of in a corner, and he's got fake press stuff going on there too. And so in the very beginning, when they all line up for the anthems and all that stuff, pre-race, da da da, there's a scene where they had Brad and the other driver, whatever the actor's name is, they were standing alongside, and then Verstappen was there, and like Perez and like everybody else. And so you see all of them, and I'm like, are you competing against the real Formula One drivers then? Like, why are you showing them? Or is it just like no one's gonna know who these guys are, so it's no big deal? Because then the plot is even worse. If
Yeah.
it's Podunkville, people come up from nowhere in F1 and again are going to try to beat the leading constructors. It's like you don't have a leg to stand on because if not, Haas would be winning.
It's going to be terrible, but again, I'm going to watch it. So
So I don't know. I mean, I'm being very negative about it prematurely. Who knows? Maybe it'll be quite good, but somehow these things don't often end up that way.
have you seen Driven?
Well, Driven just becomes absurd where it was ridiculous driving around whatever the city street over manhole covers or whatever the thing was.
Well, we know that doesn't work because of Las Vegas.
Exactly. So that was fake. I don't know. We'll see. We'll all watch it.
We'll have to do it with.
Steve and Izzy will tear that movie apart. It'll be fantastic. I look forward to that, actually.
Yep.
What else is going on in Formula One? There's all this talk of Audi and skeletons coming out of the closets and God knows what else.
Verstappen has a curfew now.
Well, it's because he's 11. So, I mean, come on, right?
It's like the old Snickers commercials where you had like the celebrity who was like really cranky, doing bad stuff, and then like someone hands him a Snickers bar, and then suddenly he becomes like this different celebrity and super nice. And it's like you really get angry when you're hungry or whatever the
Yeah.
slogan was. So I guess he gets really angry when he's sleepy. I don't know. Because the thing is, people are trying to say it's because he was up at 3 a.m. doing sim racing when he should have been resting and sleeping. So his aggressive behavior is the result of, his lack of sleep. I'm like, no, his aggressive behavior has always been there. And the only reason we haven't seen his aggressive behavior for 2 years because he was in a car that was leagues above everybody else's, and he was always out at front doing hot laps by himself. So he had no pressure at any time, no reason to be
competition.
aggressive. He was just out there bored doing his own thing. And now we're seeing him actually have to race wheel to wheel with other people. And guess what? His aggressive nature is coming back out because racing incident, this, that, or the other, sure, fine, let's call it that and not give Hamilton a penalty. But it's like you dive bombed him and it didn't work. And then you want to say it's his fault.
I've said it before. You can take the boy out of the go-kart. But you can't take the kart racer out of the boy.
I mean, it would have been an amazing move had he been able to stick it, but this time it didn't work. And he locked up and he's lucky. He's so lucky he didn't crash himself out. Freaking incredibly lucky how you go up in the air, slam back down, shoot off the track, and are able to like slow down enough not to slam into the barrier, turn right next to it, and then get back on track and basically lose a position.
Well, we've seen the exact opposite of that because Ocon does stuff like that and just destroys everybody. Remember Monaco?
I mean, this could have very well been the same thing where he just missiled into the side of Hamilton and took him out. And it's like, for what?
Yeah.
Because if you're so much better and so much faster, you could have waited till the next turn then. Could have waited till the next lap. Even because you were still had several laps ahead of you. Anyway, so I don't know why anybody's surprised because I thought we all saw this behavior when he was not in Red Bull or in the junior Red Bull where he was super aggressive and yada yada yada. So I don't know that we can blame lack of sleep in sim racing as opposed to his true driving character because we even saw it in his sim racing where he literally got pissed off enough and he went and punted somebody off.
Yep, that did happen. Yeah.
So how is this any different?
It's
Other
really
than the fact
not.
that this is real world and you could hurt somebody. It's a lot more exciting now, thankfully, that some of the other constructors are now finally bringing forward a car that can compete and we're seeing other people winning, sometimes not even on the podium anymore.
Ever since Adrian Newey left, I wonder why. Illusion!
I do not know.
I'm just saying, all signs point to Adrian Newey. I always thought they were cheating, but I'm just gonna leave that where it is.
And that's probably why Adrian Newey left. The writing was on the wall.
Yeah, they were that close to being exposed because of Christian Horny and all that stuff, and then they were gonna blow the lid on everything, and they were gonna figure out that they were cheating, like I've been saying, and that's that. But hey, I'm okay being wrong about that too, but the proof is suddenly coincidentally in the pudding, so we'll see. So Audi.
I'm confused by this one. They named their team principal, and it's former Ferrari team principal.
Egon Spengler.
Yes.
But Benotti or Benuti, whatever his name is,
Yes.
Butoni, whatever, I can't remember.
Binotto.
Yeah, that really Italian name, that guy.
Yes.
He looks like Egon Spengler. I mean, let's get real.
Yes. Yeah.
Harold Ramis.
I don't know how to feel. My initial reaction was disappointment because I'm like, great, there goes Audi.
Yeah, right?
They should have got Steiner.
No.
Would have been worse. That would
At least it would have been entertaining.
no.
Yeah.
would've
It's
been
such a
worse.
small community. That's just it. I mean, who are you going to name as a
You could have
principal?
brought that French guy back. What's he
Who's
doing
Jean Todt?
now? No, the guy that was Renault. Cyril, that was his name.
Here's a novel concept. Why not hire somebody else?
Like Andretti.
How about somebody from Formula 2, Formula 3, some of the others?
Be better than Steiner.
Steiner's fucking entertaining.
That's all he is, though.
That's all I want. I don't care. They're not going to win.
I have high hopes for Audi, but with everything we talked about earlier, how is Volkswagen going to afford a Formula One team?
You know,
I don't
Because
know.
it ain't cheap to run a Formula One team. And it's not Porsche that's doing it, it's Audi that's doing it.
I don't know where their buckets of money come from.
That's why it's hard to believe what's fact and what's fiction.
maybe Audi has an OnlyFans page.
Is that what it is? Okay. That explains everything. Click here to see the Q7 unwrap.
But mom and dad Volkswagen don't know about it. So.
Yeah, right. Porsche's sliding into their DMs.
4 slides into the DM. Oh yeah.
That's horrible. Well, I am delinquent on my rally recap. I kind of fizzled out around Portugal, but then again, during the summer months, there's only really basically one a month, so it's pretty easy to get caught up. So I apologize. Not that you guys care. And in the world of WEC and IMSA and World Challenge and all that fun stuff, we're still riding the high from Le Mans. So it's like a lot of the races are a lot shorter, like, Mid-O and all those. And not all the big cars go to those events. Rolex and Sebring and leading up to Le Mans, it's a big deal. And then now it kind of gets slow until we start doing some of the bigger races in the fall. And then, obviously Petites in October and things like that. That's not to say that there aren't other things going on in the ACO. I am going to be at Evening with a Legend live in San Diego for Blown Away 2 on August the 24th. So if you're out on the West Coast listening to this and you want to be part of it, you still have an opportunity to join us on the SS Minnow. The America's Cup sailing yacht for a 3-hour tour, leaving from the San Diego Yacht Club. And it's a plated dinner with a chance to sit down and talk with former legends of Le Mans. I can't say who's going to be there, but the list of folks, the list of pro drivers is pretty exciting. So looking forward to seeing anybody out there. Come up and say hi, and look forward to more Evening with a Legend episodes throughout the season. We're on break here in July, but next month, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we're going to be talking Corvette. We're going to be talking Corvette quite a bit. So we're fortunate to have Andy Pilgrim coming back to talk about his days back with the C5Rs and the C6s and his time even behind the wheel of the 911 at Le Mans. And then we've got some other fun stuff planned. So no more spoilers other than that. And Andy's been on the show before, so if you haven't caught his whole backstory, go back into our catalog and check that out. But always promises to be a good time when Andy Pilgrim comes to talk to us. Our motorsports news is brought to us in partnership with the International Motor Racing Research Center. September 12th, we have the Cameron R. Argetsinger Award for Outstanding Contributions to Motorsports, which is directly related to Formula One this year. This year's honoree is Zach Brown. Yes, that Zach Brown, CEO of McLaren Formula One. You still have the opportunity to buy tickets to attend that event. So jump over to racingarchives.org and then click on store to purchase your ticket for a seat at the table. And then don't forget, mark your calendars, November 1st through the 2nd, we have the 8th annual Michael R. Argetsinger Symposium on Motorsports History that'll be held at Watkins Glen. And we will be there with other folks from the Motoring Podcast Network, live streaming the event and attending the 2.5-day symposium. It actually starts on Halloween with the Real Wheel Film Festival. More details on all of that over at racingarchives.org. So I guess we got to wrap it up and take it home.
Yeah. As a reminder, you can find tons of upcoming local shows and events at the ultimate reference for car enthusiasts, collectorcarguy.net.
HBDjunkie.com is your place to plan your track season. We're at the middle of the summer now. Look no further than HBDjunkie.com for an update list of events from this point forward all the way to the end of the year, because there are places in the United States and in Canada that run track events year round, like our friends at Just Track It and Shin Track Days and Hope No Driving and so on. So be sure to check out their website for an up-to-date HPDE calendar. But if you're a little bit more adventurous and you want to know more about other motorsports that are going on around the country, check out the new motorsports calendar on club.gtmotorsports.org under events, and you can learn about other special events and happenings in various different disciplines of motorsport that you shouldn't miss.
We just crested 366 episodes of Break Fix while you've been listening to this episode. But more importantly, we've expanded our catalog as part of our new Motoring Podcast Network, where you can enjoy programs like The Ferrari Marketplace, The Motoring Historian, Evening with a Legend, the History of Motorsports series, Break Fix, and others. Search for Break/Fix or Gran, no D, Touring everywhere you download, stream, or listen. And be sure to check out www.motoringpodcast.net for reviews of the shows, new episodes, bios of our on-air personalities, and descriptions of the services we offer.
And we got a couple special announcements. Normally, the July episode is our happy anniversary special where we review, things we've done in the past and what we're going to work on next. Obviously, we took a little bit of a different turn this month. But let me hit you with some quick facts and figures. Did you know that we've been around for 10 years? Can you also believe it's been 7 years for our digital magazine
Yeah.
and 4 years for Break Fix?
Wow.
Do you believe that? That's a hell of an accomplishment, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
So happy anniversary to us. We're kicking butt and taking names. And by the way, we reorganized gtmotorsports.org in light of our recent anniversary. And now you can actually sort the content on the site by magazine issues. So to add to those stats, 10 years, 7 years for the magazine, 4 years for Break Fix, we have published 29 issues of our digital magazine. So you can actually go back and look through the index, check out all the new cover art, see all the cool episodes of Break Fix that fall in line with that. If you want even more content, hop on over to club.gtmotorsports.org for the old blog style stuff, more regional things we got going on from our club members and some of our just inner feelings and thoughts that we like to share, right, Brad?
Mm-hmm.
That said, I also want to give a quick shout out to friends of the show and former guests, Danny Pilling from Danny P on Cars and Ryan Barkey from the Steering Committee podcast. They are now part of a new combined show called the Road Show podcast, which just launched this week. So check it out everywhere you listen to podcasts.
Did you know you can sign up for our Patreon for free? Lots of great extras and bonuses, even on the free tier. But if you'd like to become a Break Fix VIP, jump over to www.patreon.com/GTMotorsports and learn about our different tiers, join our Discord, or become a member of the GTM Clubhouse by signing up at club.gtmotorsports.org. Drop us a line on social media or visit our Facebook group and leave us a comment. Tell us what you like and send us ideas for future shows.
And remember, for everything we talked about on this episode and more, be sure to check out the follow-on article and show notes available at gtmotorsports.org.
Issue number 29.
And a huge thank you to our co-host and executive producer, Tanya, and to all the fans, friends, and family who support GTM and the Motoring Podcast Network. Without you, none of this would be possible.
Begin year 5. Google, what's wrong with Google? Reconnecting. Okay, here we go. I think it's finally coming back. Oh my God. All right, we all back now?
Building one right now, but I'm on DSL, so
Why are you on DSL?
that's what it feels like.
Where are you? Are you piggybacking off of Eric's?
Right. She's got that
You have a mesh
antenna.
network across the street?
Tanya still looks puzzled.
She stopped listening.
Or she's just frozen because of her DSL.
Yes, I'm not saying anything though. It's so bad. I don't know why my internet's so sluggish.
I had to reset my router today, and that seemed to solve all the problems.
Stupid CrowdStrike.
I think it's lagging.
Oh, okay. Well, you're not moving either, so
I think my audio is coming in like 15 seconds late.
I think we actually lost Tanya now.
Did you change your Wi-Fi password? Is that what happened?
I'm gonna kick her out. That'll force her to reconnect.
Yeah, there you go. Password is now get your own Wi-Fi, Tanya. she had
out
to
in the yard like splicing wires.
Even better. She had to put her phone back on the hook so that the AOL would connect.
Oh man, like back in the old days.
She had to find her CD player, her
Oh,
disk
man.
drive, so she could put the AOL disk in so it would connect.
Dude, she's got a tape deck in her car. She loves that stuff.
No, I know. But she doesn't have an 8-track.
Hang on
Or
one
would it
second.
be easier to have her just walk across the street?
No, she won't do that. All right, I'm gonna stop and hit end. I'll send a thing and we'll rejoin. All right.
Well, here we are in the drive-through line. Me and her, cars in front of us, cars in back of us, all just waiting to order. There's some idiot in a Volvo with his bright sun behind me. I lean out the window and scream, hey, what you trying to do, blind me? My wife says maybe we should pause.
We hope you enjoyed another awesome episode of Break Fix Podcast, brought to you by Grand Touring Motorsports. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or get involved, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Grand Touring Motorsports. And if you'd like to learn more about the content of this episode, be sure to check out the follow-on article at gtmotorsports.org. We remain a commercial-free and no annual fees organization through our sponsors, but also through the generous support of our fans, families, and friends through Patreon. For as little as $2.50 a month, you can get access to more behind-the-scenes action, additional pit stop minisodes, and other VIP goodies, as well as keeping our team of creators fed on their strict diet of Fig Newtons, Gummy Bears, and Monster. So consider signing up for Patreon today at www.patreon.com/GT Motorsports. And remember, without you, none of this would be possible.